Hello, kids. My name is Fatih. I'm going to be reading a book to you today. So, today's book is going to be about mythical monsters. I think this is very important to me because you may not know it yet, but there's a lot of different cultures in the world, and a lot of cultures have different traditions. And a lot of traditions, which is basically kind of a thing that a group of people does to keep a bond between them, to build friendships and to maintain their history. A lot of these traditions were started in the old days, and it could be, they have different legends and different myths, and it's very interesting for any of you who want to, when you grow up, be history teachers or philosophers or anything like that, or if you're into movies or cinema. All of that stuff is very useful. So let's get started. Right. One year, spring forgot to come to one particular Viking tribe. The sun did not shine, the snow did not melt, the crops did not grow, and the people began to starve. My friends, roared their king, Olaf the Violent, over the rumbling of everyone's empty stomachs, I have had a jolly good think about our problem. What we need is a clear, intelligent, and sensible plan to get us out of this mess. So I propose. The king took a deep breath. Everyone leaned forward to hear his wisdom. I propose, he continued, that we get in our longship and find another tribe of Vikings and bash them over the head. Hooray! Cheered all the men. What? Sneered all the women. How is that going to put food on our tables exactly? Dear lady, said King Olaf. He was surprised and a little hurt that the women of his tribe hadn't seen how brilliant his idea was. That is the Viking answer to every problem. We know, said the women bitterly. Well, it's bound to work eventually, said King Olaf. The women of the village threw their hands up in despair, but the men polished their spiky helmets and sharpened their war axes. They stuck extra nails into their battle hammers and prepared for war. All the men, that is, except one. He was young and his name was Snorri the Dreamer. Snorri had never been keen on fighting. He would very much rather read the great sagas and watch the sunset. He loved nature and enjoyed going on long walks to explore the fjord and the countryside around the Warp village. In other words, he's stupid, said Halfdan the Unhinged. Halfdan, don't be so rude about your brother, snapped their mother, and she smacked Halfdan over the head with a heavy frying pan. Well, said Halfdan, after he picked himself up off to the floor and stopped screaming, we have a noble tradition in this family. We're berserkers, shield chewers, and headbangers. Since the beginning of time, we've had the special privilege of being the first into battle, the first charge screaming at the enemy. The first to get killed, said Snorri. Exactly, said Halfdan with a proud smile. As everyone knows, every Viking who dies bravely in battle goes straight to Valhalla, where there's food and drinks and singing forever and ever. Until, said Snorri, until Ragnarok, said Halfdan. The great battle at the end of time when good and evil clash and everything gets destroyed and you get to die bravely all over again. Whoopee! I do hope when I die it's long and messy and extremely painful. Look at the world around you, Halfdan, said Snorri. The sea, the sky, the beautiful countryside. Goodness knows we have little enough to enjoy it already. Why would you want to make your life even shorter? Before Halfdan could answer, his mom smacked Snorri over the head with a very heavy frying pan. Snorri, she said, your brother's right. We have traditions in this family. When Snorri woke up, he was sitting in the longship next to his brother. Someone had dressed him up in his battle gear and stuck a sword in his hand. At last, he is awake. Ow, kind of you to join us, you worthless spawn of sniggling sea scum, bellowed a massive Viking straight into Snorri's face. Oh, hello, Uncle Eri, said Snorri. How's Auntie Agnetha? Still mad, thanks for asking, bellowed Uncle Eric. I bet you're excited now, aren't you? Asked Halfdan. I've got the worst headache of my life. Uncle Eric just shouted at me so loudly I think my brain's turned to soup, and I'm about to be violently killed, said Snorri. Of course. I'm excited. Me too, said Halfdan. He looked like a little boy waiting for Christmas morning. Oh, brother, said Snorri suddenly. What's the matter? Said Halfdan. Forgotten my pajamas, said Snorri. This is a Viking raiding party, said Halfdan. You won't be needing your pajamas. What? Go to sleep the night before an important battle without my special Jim Jams on? Said Snorri. Not likely. I won't get my proper rest. I'll be all grumpy, and that'll really take the fun out of being horribly killed. Won't be long. Before Halfdan stopped him, Snorri had jumped out of the longship and run off. Snorri knew that if he went home, the Viking warriors would find him and drag him straight back to the ship. So instead, he followed the steep path up the side of the fjord to his favorite place. He planned to wait there until he saw the longship was far out to sea. You haven't got any special Jim Jams? Snorri jumped. Halfdan, how did you find me? I may be incredible thick, but I'm not stupid, said Halfdan. You're always going on about watching the sunset, and this is the best place to see it for miles around. Now come on, hurry. The king doesn't want us to miss the tide. He's not going to, said Snorri, and he pointed. Down below them, the longship slipped out of the fjord and made the open sea. Oh, what? Cried Halfdan. Well, that's just brilliant, isn't it? Bang goes my chance to get horribly killed. I hope you're proud of yourself. I could have been on the edge of someone's sword by 3:30. I could have been in Valhalla in time for tea. So how am I going to get to paradise now, Mr. Brainbox? Look around you, Halfdan, said Snorri. You're in paradise already. Halfdan had to agree. Even with all the snow and ice everywhere, it was a beautiful spot, but he was still very angry. In any case, said Snorri, we have a serious problem. There's no food, and pretty soon our people are going to start dying. I can't imagine the king's plan to go do any good, so it's up to us to save the tribe. What can we do? Said Halfdan. I've been thinking about that, said Snorri. We can go fishing. How? Said Halfdan. We can borrow the Canute's stinky boat. That doesn't matter, said Snorri. I remember reading that the best place to go fishing in the water is just above where the kraken lurks. There's always plenty of fish and they swim straight into your nets. It's perfect. Perfect except for one thing, said Halfdan. The kraken isn't going to let us pinch all those fish. It's a ginormous man-eating sea monster that looks like a gigantic crab. It looks like a gigantic octopus, said Snorri. Crab, octopus, crab, octopus. Doesn't matter, said Snorri. The important thing is that his plan is dangerous and it's bound to result in almost certain death. It is, said Halfdan. Well, why didn't you say so before? What are we waiting for? Snorri was right. There was plenty of fish in the waters above the kraken, and they did seem to swim right into the brothers' nets. In no time, their little boat was piled high with enough fish to feed their tribe for a whole year. Even better, nobody had to get horribly killed by a gigantic octopus, said Snorri. Crab, said Halfdan. Octopus, said Snorri. Crab, said Halfdan. They were so busy arguing that they didn't notice as the waters around them began to bubble. At last, with a great roar, a monster with tentacles and a gigantic octopus and the shell and claws of a gigantic crab burst out of the sea. Well, that settles that, said Snorri. We're both right. Afternoon, said the Kraken. I've been watching you two for a while now, but I still can't decide. Decide on what? Said Halfdan. Which one of you I'm going to eat first, of course, said the Kraken. Before the brothers knew what was happening, the Kraken had grabbed them into their tentacles and swung them high into the air. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, the Kraken chanted. Catch a Viking by his toe. If he squeals, eat him. Hooray! Squealed Halfdan. I'm about to die an extremely painful death. Right, roared the Kraken. In you go. Wait, shouted Snorri just as the Kraken was about to bite off Halfdan's head. You're not trying to stop me eating you, I hope, it said. Sailors try all sorts of clever tricks to stop me eating them, but they never work, you know. How could they? Said Snorri. You're far too clever to be tricked by any silly sailors. That is a lovely thing to say, said the Kraken, a truly lovely thing. What kind of vicious, heartless creature would eat you both up after you've said something as lovely as that? The Kraken thought for a moment. This one, it cried. I'm starving. I was just thinking that we're going to taste awfully dry, said Snorri. Dry? What are you talking about? Said the Kraken. There's water all around us. Yes, but it's salt water, said Snorri. Ugh, it dries out your mouth. No, everyone knows that a Viking tastes better when washed down with the lashings of lovely rune juice. Rune juice? Said the Kraken. Yes, it's a Viking brand of fruit juice. My favorite flavor is apple, said Snorri, though some people prefer blackcurrant. Hey, what a stroke of luck. We're not far from the island of Helsley, the home of the sea god Aer. He makes the best rune juice in the world, especially for the gods, in his golden hall where the cups refill themselves every time you take a drink. But I'm ginormous, said the Kraken. I can't take a drink out of some measly little cup. You don't have to, said Snorri. Aer will fill the cavern full of rune juice that was stolen from the land of the giants. It's 5 miles deep. What are we waiting for? Said the Kraken. He plonked Snorri Halfdan back down on the deck and finished the bow. For a long time, Halfdan didn't say anything. He just stared at Snorri. Then at last he said, It was all going brilliantly. I was just about to die an extremely painful death. I could have been in Valhalla. Now, if it wasn't for you, it doesn't count, said Snorri. What? Said Halfdan. You have to die in battle. If you're going to get to Valhalla, being eaten by a sea monster doesn't count. Even if it's extremely painful? Oh, look, we're here, sassed Snorri. Knew most of what the gods from all the sagas he'd read. He was the one to knock the door of Aer's golden hall. Don't think we can walk in there and sneak out the back and escape, said the Kraken. I'm holding your ship and your brother hostage. At last, snapped Aer, the sea god, as he opened the great door of his golden hall. We thought you'd never get here. Wait a minute. Who are you? Greetings, mighty god, said Snorri, and he bowed his head. I am Snorri, son of Beowulf the Berserker. My friends and I have come to sample some of your famous rune juice. Clear off, cried Aer. I'm too busy. I have to prepare for dinner, and all the gods of Asgard and the ingredients for my starters still haven't arrived. Wait till I get my hands on the delivery boy. The only thing that opened my door thought you might be him. Perhaps I can help you, said Snorri. In return for some rune juice from my command, I'll give you the recipe and ingredients for a starter worthy of the gods. Really? Yes, I call it seafood surprise, said Snorri. If you don't believe me, just take a look over there. He pointed over where the Kraken was keeping a close eye on Halfdan, and the boat was held high. The gods do like their seafood, Sayer thoughtfully. All right, but it better be a wonderful recipe. Inside an magnificent golden hall, Ayer poured cups of root juice for the two Vikings. Then he helped the Kraken climb around the vast called. Cheers, said Snorri. Cheers, said Aerin. Now come on, then. Where's this recipe you promised me? The gods will be here in a few hours. Of course, said Snorri. Give me a pen and a paper and I shall write it out for you. So, you do catering of the gods, eh? Halfdan asked Aer. Could you settle an argument for me? I want to go to Valhalla. I'm about to die an extremely painful death, but my brother says it doesn't count because I'm going to be eaten by a sea monster. No. That reminds me, roared the Kraken as it wallowed in the cauldron of Arun juice. I'm supposed to be eating you Vikings. Come on, sea god. Throw them in, and I can have them washed down with mouthfuls of delicious drink. Snorri finished writing the recipe and handed it to Aer. This looks like a real winner, said Aer as he reads. Thank you, young Viking. Now, I think we'll be off, Halfdan said. Snorri. Goodbye, Aer. Goodbye, Kraken, but I'm going to devour you, bellowed the Kraken. Yes, I'm sorry, but I don't think that will be possible after all. You see, super surprise recipe I just given the Aer for Kraken juice. For Kraken in rune juice. It's very tasty by all accounts. I'm sure the gods will love it. Wait, no, wailed the Kraken. Get me out of here. Get me out. So Snorri and Halfdan sailed home from the island of Helsley. When the women of the tribe saw all the delicious fish piled on their boat, they cheered and set about cooking a sumptuous feast. They were about to sit down and eat while the king and the Viking warriors returned. They looked exhausted and weak from the lack of food. We didn't find anyone to bash on the head, said King Olaf quietly. The lads weren't exactly 100% not having eaten anything for so long, so we couldn't row far. Then it got dark and we were all a bit frightened, so we thought we'd best just come home. Well, there's plenty of food here now, said Snorri. Welcome back. There was much feasting that night and dancing and drinking to the health of Snorri and Halfdan, the two great heroes of the tribe. Maybe there is more to life than a horribly painful death, said Hudden. He said he took a drink of rune juice. Thank you, brother, for saving me. He and Snorri embraced. By the firelight, they watched as Viking warriors hugged their wives and children they hadn't expected to see ever again. So, one thing I really like about this story is it teaches you that you don't always need to follow what other people say. You could just do what you want. Um, and sometimes the best solution is to sit down and think. We could see his brother just want to join and go to war, but that didn't solve any issues. So it was really nice that they found a way to get the fish and trick the Kraken and escape with their lives. So it's very important that we take these lessons to take a step back and be our own leaders, think things through, and it's important to love yourself and your community and your friends. Always choose everyone around you before you put yourself first.